All right, everybody. So we are headed over to a place that my father-in-law found while just looking around while driving. I believe the place is called Homestead Hardwoods, but we were headed up there this morning. We have an appointment to go check out some wood slabs. So I don't think he's open normally at this time, but he made an exception for us so that we could go in here and check out his lumber and see what he's got. So here we go. Alright guys, we're here at Homestead Hardwood Furniture Company, and they have some pretty cool things here if you can see through the window. We're waiting for the guy to get here. But he's got some smaller things here you can see, which has got a really nice piece of walnut. I don't know if you can see because of the glare, but I would say some of his stuff is smaller, so the applications would be more like a coffee table, or maybe if you did some turning. I see some stuff where you can make bowls, things like that. So we're really excited, waiting for this guy to get here so we can get in here and take a look at this wood. All right guys, so we're finally in the store, and he's got some really awesome wood in here. we were looking at some of the black walnut. He's got some black walnut and some maple. It's very, very pretty. Even this one is the one we saw from the outside, has a crotch, a little bit of crotch figure in it. You can see here what crotch figure looks like. And he has some pretty good prices too. So this one, obviously, he's got figure walnut, and this is what he means by the figure, but it's 5/4. So what that means is it's 1 1/4 inches thick. And he's got some smaller things to be more like for a coffee table, or maybe like I mean, this one is pretty big. You could get some really cool a dining table out of it. If you did like a river, you could split it depending on how big your river is going to be. It would take a lot of epoxy, but you know, he's got some bigger stuff too. What do you think?
Thinking I like this one for maybe a river table, because it's got a pretty interesting edge, and if we cut it, I don't know what we could do with this, but you know, it's,
well, if the epoxy was somewhat clear, it would look cool to see through the epoxy and see that. Yeah.
So that would be on one edge, but if this is a table, either a coffee table or even a dining table, we'd have to get kind of a, could we straighten out that edge? That'd be a lot of epoxy. But would we have to fill all this in?
Yeah.
Square it off?
Yeah, yeah, you could totally do that.
Okay.
I like this too. I like this walnut. Walnut's my favorite. What can I say? But I like a lot of the figure, especially when it starts getting rotten. I like when it has this stuff, because when you fill it in with epoxy, it looks really, really cool.
Well, if this on this one, this is cherry, right? So if we cut it down the middle, that becomes the outside edge.
Yeah.
So both of these would be the inside edge.
Right.
Okay. And that would we would fill those out with the epoxy.
Exactly.
Okay.
No.
Well, we'll keep that one in mind.
Yeah. So this one also is one that stuck out to me. Look at the figure in this one. Super pretty. Got some curl in it, and here's some more. What I like is when you see the sapwood and the heartwood contrasted like that, when there's a dramatic contrast. It looks really pretty to me too. He's got some really cool stuff in here. A lot of slabs. This old beam here, that's cool looking, isn't it? This one has some spalting in there too. Spalting is when fungus gets in the wood and two rival spores create a border for each other, and they make these black lines. It's pretty sweet. So this place is pretty awesome. He's got a lot of stuff. He said he goes through stuff all the time. Things change constantly. So if you guys are looking for things, this would be a good place to check. I'll put his information up so you guys can check him out too. It's got a ton of stuff in here. Really cool place. So if you want to give these guys a call, the name is Homestead Hardwood Furniture Company. There's the number there if you guys want to check out anything. And you can go ahead and give them a call. I think they ship as well, so you can get whatever. If not, I know there's a place that they have a place in Florida and they have a place here in Michigan. So you guys can check them out too. All right, guys, we're back from the store and we've picked out an awesome piece of cherry. I don't know if you guys remember this piece. It's the piece that was standing up in the one scene that I'll show you right here.
And I like this one for maybe river table because it's got a pretty interesting edge.
First things first, we're gonna take this slab and rip it down the middle for an awesome river table. So if you can see the score line, we scored it right down the middle. And Mr. Branks from the Pine Knot Shop is going to rip this down on his table saw. So there we go, guys. That's what it's going to look like with some epoxy. It's really pretty. I like this part. It's one of my favorite parts.
That's going to be almost kind of like a little island in there.
Yeah, this at the surface, but all this will be in there. Okay, so the next step is to get some sanding sealer, and we're going to do 3 coats of sanding sealer on the edge here to seal this so that we don't have any bubbles come up to the surface. Now, you guys, I would suggest using epoxy for the sealer, but we don't want to run out of epoxy. We may not have enough if we use it to seal the edges and to fill the river. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to seal it with sanding sealer and then get to pouring the epoxy. But first, before we do that, we're going to head out to Home Depot or Lowe's, whichever one, and get some materials to make the form. So, without further ado, let's get to it.
I'm excited, man. I can't wait to get started. I guess we are started, but
yeah,
it's going to be great.
It's going to be really cool. It's going to look really good in your coffee shop. All right, guys. Now that we're back from Home Depot, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some sanding sealer on the edges of this slab where the epoxy is going to go. So we're just going to seal these edges. Remember, because the reason why we want to seal these edges so we don't get bubbles in our river, because that looks like poo-poo. And then after the sanding sealer is put on and while it's drying, that'll give us time to make the form, and we can do 2 things at once, killing 2 birds with, well, we don't really kill birds around here, but you know what I mean. All right, so the next step to this project is to build the form. And so we are going to cut the sides, and that measurement is 61.5 inches long. So these will be the long sides, and then we'll have 2 shorter sides. But these are the long sides of the form. Here we go, get to cutting. Two at a time. All right, now time for the short side, which is 19 inches long. Wait, 19, I almost made a mistake. We gotta take the thickness here. It's 3/4, so we add 1.5 inches. So it'd be 19 plus 1.5 inches, 20.5. 20.5. All right, now we have all 4 sides to our form, 2 at 20.5, 2 at 61.5, and the last piece we have to cut is the bottom of our form, and we'll be ready to start screwing this thing together. Last piece we need to cut is this piece, so we're gonna do it the easy way. Are you ready? There we go. Check it out. 2 pieces, the easy way. This is the easy way right here. We have this T.H. Urich Co. Fine Furniture, Carpets, and Draperies. Samurai sword. Ready? Ah! Alright, there we go. That hurt my throat on the last one. Go. Okay, so the next step is to cover all the pieces that we cut with some packing tape. So we're going to coat all of the interior surfaces where the epoxy is going to go with this packing tape. You don't need to do the outside or anything like that. That's what we're going to do. Check it out. Alright guys, so the next step is to get some caulk in these corners so that the form doesn't leak. Alright? So we're getting close to pouring this resin into the form. As you can see, we have our slabs laid in the form, and we have our pieces clamped up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pour one thin layer first, about 1/4 inch, and let that set up. That way we can take the clamps off and continue pouring more. So it's going to be really fun and really cool. I'm excited. Let's get to pouring that resin. Alright guys, what we have here is some Incredible Solutions tabletop epoxy. Now this is not a casting resin. We cannot pour the entire thickness of the tabletop like we can with the casting resin. We have to do 1/4 inch at a time. That's their max spec for this type of epoxy. So we're going to take this part B, which is the hardener or the curing agent, and we're gonna do a quart. So there's 8 ounces. We're gonna do 2 of these for this, two of those for the epoxy. Just one. All right, this stuff is a 1-to-1 ratio. So you mix the same amount of epoxy as you do hardener. So we did 16 ounces of hardener. So we're going to do 16 ounces of resin. All right, guys, we're going to be using this black diamond metallic pigment, and it's mahogany. And so we want this translucent, so you'll be able to see through it. So we're just going to add just a scotch of this. Just a fuzz nut, because we have 4 pours we have to do. We don't want it to be too dark. Ready? All right, so as you can tell, there's a lot of bubbles in it. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna pour really slowly so that the bubbles come out. Alright guys, so if you have seen any of my other videos, you know that the next step is to get all the air bubbles popped out of there. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our heat gun to do that. So when you first turn your heat gun on, you want to hold it away from your project so that dust comes out of it, doesn't get in there. We're going to go ahead and pop all these bubbles. All right guys, so I'll come back out here for like 2 more times. I'll wait a few minutes in between, come back out with this heat gun and get all the bubbles popped. Guys, we're about to bust this bad boy out of the form. You ready to see it? Because I am. Here we go. Oops, I was recording you. Here it comes.
Opening the Christmas present.
Nice. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for part 2 when we finish it, get the legs mounted on it. If you like this video, do me a favor, hit the like button, also hit the subscribe button so that you stay notified anytime that I post a new video. The river tables aren't that hard. The problem is you just need to know the right steps. Once you have those steps down, you can make an awesome piece of furniture like this. So thanks for hanging out with us.